On this first Sunday of the season of Advent, our gospel lesson is the Palm Sunday lesson. That's a very odd thing, perhaps, you thought. And yes, it really is. So let me explain this to you best as I can. St. Mark's Gospel is the one that we're going to focus on throughout this year. We have spent the last 3 years listening to all of the epistles in the New Testament, all the letters of St. Paul, and James, and John, and Peter, all of them. We've read through those for the last 3 years and haven't thought about the Gospels much, even though they've kind of been there in the background. And so we'll think about the Gospels a lot more, and we'll go take them according to their assignments. And when I say assignments, what I mean is that this year, starting today, most of the churches in Western Christianity will hear from the Gospel of St. Mark Sunday after Sunday. So if you go from here on vacation someplace and go to church, you're likely to hear a gospel lesson from St. Mark, wherever you go, whether it's a Lutheran church or whether it's some other church. Okay, so it'll be likely be from St. Mark for the most part. Now, St. Mark doesn't have a Christmas story. I don't know why St. Mark didn't write a Christmas story, but he didn't. St. Matthew's Gospel has a Christmas story. It's got the story of Joseph and the angel coming to Joseph and saying, "Don't be afraid to take Mary to be your wife." And it's got the story of the wise men, which is in Matthew chapter 2, and the wise men coming to Herod looking for the one who's born king of the Jews. St. Luke's Gospel has the one about the shepherds in the fields, and then coming in with the angels, and then coming to visit the baby Jesus. St. John's Gospel doesn't really have a Christmas story, but we always read St. John's Gospel on Christmas Eve, because it's got that thing about the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, full of grace and truth. Okay. St. Mark's Gospel doesn't have a Christmas story at all. It just begins, John the Baptist was baptizing people by the Jordan River, and Jesus went out there to be baptized. So it figures that both of them are already 30 years old. So if we're all going to focus on Mark's Gospel this year, what do we do for Advent? Well, Palm Sunday seems like a logical choice to somebody, I guess. Even though, and I'll give you a heads up, Palm Sunday will be the last Sunday in March in 2018. All right? Because Easter will be the 1st of April. No fooling. Ha ha. Okay? So Palm Sunday is the last Sunday in March next year. So here we have the Palm Sunday Gospel. Jesus gets on this donkey and a colt the foal of a donkey, and he rides into Jerusalem. People see him coming in. Big parade. Just like they used to do in the days of old when the kings of Israel rode into Jerusalem on donkeys instead of on war horses, to remind the kings of Jerusalem and the kings of Israel that they're supposed to be humble and not thick-headed and, like politicians, but they're supposed to be humble as rulers of God's people when they ride in. So Jesus, as he's getting ready to walk into Jerusalem, decides on this particular day, he's not going to just walk into Jerusalem, but he's going to kind of send a message that he comes in sort of like a king of old. So he's the one that sets it up, but it turns into this big parade. He sends the disciples to get the donkey. He sits on the donkey. He rides on it. They walk in. Now, this is not the first time that, Jesus has come into town on a donkey. And you all know the story, at least, when he was still inside his mom, right? Mary rode the donkey down into Bethlehem, to give birth behind the stable, in the manger and all that. I know, it's not actually in the Bible, but it's in all the movies. It's in the one, The Star, which is out now, the little animated one. This is really rather cute and well done, actually, from the animal's point of view, and, you should go see it. But, so it's not the first time a donkey's figured in the story of Jesus coming into town. But, it's a humility thing, it's a Jesus being humble thing. But in the minds of the people of Jerusalem, it reminded them of the kings coming in of old. Oh, it's a royal procession. Next thing you know, they're cutting down branches from the palm trees, Palm Sunday, and they're having a blast. It's a parade. Why would we want to do this on the first Sunday in Advent? Other than a somewhat sideways connection to, I don't know what, a Christmas parade? You know, this is also the season of parades, isn't it, right? Like, you know, did you watch the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade? I mean, that's a big blast. I know some of you didn't, but Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade is a big blast and a big festival, and all kinds of people gather, and there's all kinds of things going on, and there's all kinds of confetti and, you know, bands and floats and balloons and all kinds. It's a big celebration, right? But, you know, to tell you the truth, whether you watched it or not, I realized this year, the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, at least these days, is pretty much this. It's a 3-hour commercial, punctuated by commercials. And every once in a while, there's a marching band, and then there's a balloon, and then there's more commercials. Because basically what the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade is it wants to get you to buy stuff. So every float this is more stuff that you can buy. And then there's another float of more stuff that you could buy, and then there's a commercial about more stuff that you could buy. And it ends up with the Grand Master of the parade, who is, of course, Santa Claus, you know, and he's the one who says, now buy all this stuff and you can give it to each other as Christmas presents. And now you're already thinking, all right, now I have a Christmas list. I got to go buy this for this one. I got to go buy that for that one. I got to go buy, you know, maybe you're doing it. What am I going to get this one for Christmas? Or if you're not thinking about what you have to get this one or that one for Christmas, like, I know, because I'm looking at you thinking, you have grandkids, you have nieces and nephews, you have kids, you have other people that you got to buy stuff for, you know, or if you're like my wife and me, it's like, how many gift cards do we have to get this year? You know, so I don't want to go out and do all of that. You know, or you're thinking, what about my own Christmas list? Because I want stuff for Christmas. Or if somebody says to me, what would you like for Christmas? You know, you can't get away with, oh, I don't care. You know, because then they get all upset with you. So you have to come up with something that you actually want for Christmas. I don't care, you know, doesn't ever work. So it's always about all that kind of stuff. That's the whole parade idea and the whole buying and selling thing. And the connection, I think, between Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade and the parade at Palm Sunday, other than that they're parades, is that they're really both about the wrong thing. They're really both about the wrong thing. They're totally focused on what they shouldn't be focused on. Even the Palm Sunday parade is focused on the kingdom of Jesus that he's not going to have. You know, it's Jesus coming in riding on a donkey, and the people all think he's going to be a king, and within 4 days later he gets to Pontius Pilate, and Pontius Pilate says, you're the king of the Jews, and Jesus says, my kingdom is not of this world. So on Palm Sunday, the people were wrong, but they were all, oh, it's going to be Hosanna to the Son of David. That's what they used to say when the kings came in. That's not the point of Jesus at all. Not that he should be a king. Because see, what happens is we are so excited as human beings, not just dogs, but as human beings, we get so focused on the glitz and the glamour and the shiny stuff, you know, that we lose focus on Jesus. I'll just come right down and say it. We lose focus on Jesus. There's so much else going on, whether it's at Christmas time or whether it's just wherever, that we lose focus on Jesus so easily. Okay? We're like little dogs who see squirrels on a walk, you know? We just lose track so fast. It isn't funny. I mean, even, you know, we already noticed that with St. John when we were talking about Revelation. he did that twice in the book of Revelation. I mean, it was hard even for him, and he was an apostle of Jesus. He was with Jesus. He spent the whole time in Revelation surrounded by the glories of God, and there were still a couple of times when he just lost it and fell down and worshipped angels. And angels said, get up, don't do that, don't worship me. You worship God. Because it's so easy for us as human beings to lose focus on Jesus. And then we start to think about other things. What should we do? What do we have to put up? What decorations do we have to do? What shopping do we have to do? What food do we have to eat? What do we have to, And this time of year is so easy to do that and get lost in all that stuff. We have, my wife and I have, our little guy Aiden is with us this weekend. And on Friday Bev was saying, oh, we could do this, or we could do this, or we could do this, or we could do this, we could do this, we could do this. And I said, hold on a minute. I said, we could do a ton of things every weekend. And I said, but last year I had a devotion with some of our pastors' at one of our pastors' conferences that was based on the 23rd Psalm. And there was a phrase in the 23rd Psalm, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. And I said, one of the comments I made that resonates with everybody whenever I say it is, so if goodness and mercy are following you all the days of your life, is it because you never slowed down enough to give them a chance to catch up? And I said, is that what it's going to be this weekend? That we're going to be maybe Tuesday or Wednesday next week and we'll finally slow down because this weekend is so full of stuff that I said, let's just not do half the stuff that we could do this weekend. So we said, okay. So we didn't do half the stuff this weekend that we could have done. And last night we went to bed, we were exhausted. Just doing half the stuff. But that's what it's going to be during December for almost any of us. Because there's so much else to do. And so much else to focus on. And we don't focus on Jesus. And Him being here. And Him saving us. And He has done all the heavy lifting already. He's done all of the forgiving. He's done the dying. He's done the being born. He's done the being human. He's done all the things that we have already needed. We don't need to do anything except rejoice in the love that God the Father has for us through Jesus. We don't need to do anything. We don't need to live up to anybody else's expectations. And this kind of year is full of other people's expectations. I got to do this because somebody's going to expect a card. I got to do that because somebody expects me to do that. Nuts to that. In fact, I give you permission to say to people, if you expect me to get your Christmas card to you, tell them Pastor Cagle said I don't have to do that. Okay. You can blame me for everything. Use me as your excuse. You don't have to do anything. Jesus has done all of it. He's done everything. But let's focus on Jesus at this time of year. Let's think about all the things He has done for us. Let's think about His grace and His mercy and His love. Let us relax in His wonder and in His grace. In Isaiah's gospel, he says, sometimes we look at all the things going on in the world and think, why don't you just come down, just tear open the heavens and come down, Jesus. Just come down like you used to in days of old and let everybody know that you're here. Well, he's done that. And He's done all that heavy work. And some of it is up to us. Some of it is up to us to put aside all of the stuff that we surround ourselves with and all of the stuff that we focus on that's maybe the wrong stuff and just relax in His love. Just relax in His love. We think we got to keep running, and we don't. Because Jesus is here to love us, to welcome us, to bring us into His care, and to say to us, just let me love you, and everything will be okay. Everything will be fine, and I will give you the healing that you need. So, if we need a place to start with that, let's start today at his meal. We don't have to worry about preparations, don't have to worry about potlucks, don't have to worry about what you're going to bring. It's just a little bread and a little wine, and he's done it all. Let's start with his meal, and we'll be fine. Okay? Amen.